Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you. My name is Cassie, and on this channel, we talk all things of healing, self-love, and self-care, and of course, becoming your dream woman. On today's episode, we are going to talk about how to manifest your dream life in 2026. Yes, so today is a very big manifestation day. Today is the 333 day portal. And also the reason that it's triple threes this time is because it's the third month, the third day. And then today is also the lunar eclipse. And the lunar eclipse, I believe, started at 3:33 this morning. So that's how we get the triple three day today. So with that being said, I felt that it was very necessary to make a video on how to manifest your dream life in 2026. Today we are going to talk about something that I think a lot of us struggle with, especially when we are consciously manifesting our dream life in. Because how do we actually know that our manifestations are working? We're being honest, most of the time that we kind of measure what our 3D is showing us as proof if we are on the right track or not. So if things are happening, we are feeling encouraged, but if things are not happening, we start questioning ourselves of like, whoa, what is going on? Am I doing this thing right? Am I not aligned? Did I mess this up? Is God trying to tell me no? And the list kind of goes on of whatever you can possibly think that your mind might tell you. I want to say this in the most loving way possible. That is not the way that the manifestation process works, and that is not the proper way to measure your manifestation process. The thing that we need to do is we need to stop using our current 3D situation as a reflection if we are doing this thing right or not. Because you are in the process of shifting into whatever you are currently manifesting, and kind of give you the biggest lesson that I had to learn with this. Last year I was in this manifesting process and I was manifesting a lot of different things, but I was also trying to manifest a move. And I started the process back in like April, May, June. I started looking and kind of getting that little like itch to move. Kind of put it out there, but I didn't see anything. So I kind of, let it go. And I was just, looking. I wasn't actively looking, but I was still kind of looking. But that move didn't come into fruition until actually December of last year. So it took about 6 months for that to kind of come into full effect and for me to have the green light to go. And during that waiting period, I started checking my 3D. I started focusing on what hasn't happened instead of focusing on what did happen. I started looking around, and even though that I was manifesting healing, I was growing. I was like, seeing that these different shifts were happening just in smaller ways. But unfortunately, I was really focused on a big shift, and it didn't land yet. And when that happens, I let my ego get the best of me, and I let it start talking. And that's one of the worst mistakes you can do. Don't let your ego talk too much, because your ego will say, oh, it's not working. You're doing it wrong. See, nothing has happened yet. Or maybe this isn't meant for you. And unfortunately, I listened to those things. So I stopped. And instead of persisting, I slowed down my embodiment practices. I kind of stopped my affirmations. I wasn't scripting. I just kind of stopped this whole process and was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me, because I had like my own perception of when something should have happened and it didn't. And it really kind of took a huge blow to my ego and stopped doing what all of the things that I was doing to get me to even where I was, but I was still so hung up on that big thing that I didn't really even pay attention to all of the other things at the time. It wasn't because a hard no. And it wasn't because like I didn't feel that my intuition was telling me to stop this process. No, but it was because my ego got loud and my emotions kind of fell in line with that. And when you stop the embodiment and you stop the affirming and you just stop doing all of the different things and, even stop regulating your nervous system, the web that you were building at that time starts to loosen. Manifestation is like a spider web because everything connects with one another. So the affirmations help retrain your brain. Scripting strengthens the belief system and kind of gives you a clear idea of where you want to go. Embodiment helps shift your identity. Your nervous system regulation makes you feel safe enough to get to where you want to go. All connected from one thing to another: the affirmations, the scripting, the embodiment, and the nervous system regulation. And when one strand weakens, the whole structure starts to wobble. Manifestation doesn't come because you want something so badly. No, things come because you become the version of yourself that has those things. So that's based on your vibration / frequency. And then based on that, you can change your identity. And then the embodiment of what that new identity is. And help you be in that frequency and who has these things. Because you can't just say, I want to be rich, and you'll become rich. No, unfortunately, if you want to become rich, you have to feel rich first. And you don't need $1 million to feel rich. You just need the energy of richness. So you can feel rich in love, and you don't even need to be in a relationship for that. You could just love yourself deeply enough where you're going to feel rich. You could be rich in health. You could be rich in gratitude, rich in opportunities, rich in so many different ways. But that's still the same frequency of that $1 million energy. And I think sometimes, we expect God to show up in these massive, dramatic ways. And I was expecting this huge breakthrough, to be honest, in my business. And when it didn't happen in my timeline, was really expecting it to happen by the end of last year. I assumed that I was on track for all of that. I was doing really well. Everything seemed to be perfect, right? And then it didn't happen. That ego started and bamboozled me to stop doing all my practices. But here is what you really need to kind of pay attention to know if your manifestation is actually working. You feel the intentional shifts. You feel more regulated. You are thinking differently. You're not reacting the same way. The smaller wins are happening, and you feel called to upgrade your habits. You even may feel uncomfortable, but expanded at the same time. And that's movement, and that's all positive things that says, yes, your manifestation is coming. It's just not ready yet. And just because it's not showing up in your 3D yet, doesn't mean that it's not forming. Seeds grow underground before they break through that soil. And when you keep digging them back up to check, hey, are you growing in there? You're actually delaying the process and putting yourself back a lot. If you watched my last video, I mentioned that I am doing this reset in March. And it is very on time with this eclipse and all of the 333 energy, and just so much more that is happening in the month of March. We have the daylight savings, we have the equinox, and that's not even including all of these other smaller planet alignment things that are happening throughout the month. And I'm not an astrologist, but I do enjoy it, and I'm paying attention to it because I definitely think that these shifts and things like that are really here to help us, especially in this new time of living. Today is, like I said, March 3rd is the eclipse, the lunar eclipse day. And I woke up early this morning to go and look because it was also like the blood moon as well. So it was like the blood moon, the lunar eclipse, the 3-3 portal. I mean, there's just so much going on, so many different shifts. It's incredible. So I woke up at like 5:30 this morning because it was going to kind of show between like 6 and 7, they were saying, but thank goodness I got up when I did and went out, because it actually happened about 5:40 and not closer to the 6 o'clock mark. But unfortunately, I didn't get to see the moon. The sky never turned red. There was just like an orange hue over it, and then it disappeared. So I'm thankful for what I got to see of it, but I was really anticipating and excited to see the whole sky turn red, how, we kind of seen in the pictures that they were advertising. But hey, it's okay. Today is very energizing. It is bringing new energy. It's reset energy, revamp energy, whatever energy you want to call it. And, I was really done with feeling like frustrated. I was feeling like crap, to be honest. Okay. I won't sugarcoat it. I was feeling like crap. I was feeling frustrated, and I was just done feeling this way. And so I was like, you know what? March is going to be the month that I'm changing things up. I'm going back into my Delulu bubble where I'm going to start my practices again. Because here's the thing. If you don't get hard, intuitive no, if the doors didn't slam in your face, and if you still feel the desire pulling at you, it's probably still something that you should pursue. You have to persist in this pursuit. From force, but from faith. And that is where this trick is, okay? You have to have blind faith in this situation. And I know that can be, uncomfortable at times, because we're always looking for things like, oh, does this mean that things are working out and things like that? But let me tell you, you don't know that besides how you feel, right? And so if you're feeling good about what you're doing and not like getting any inkling that you're on the wrong path or that you're doing something wrong, keep going. Because growth sometimes can be uncomfortable. And staying stuck is also uncomfortable. And you get to choose which uncomfortable you're going to choose. So I'm going to choose the uncomfortableness of having blind faith in the matter, because I've come too far to give up on my dream life now. I have healed. I have manifested so many different smaller things, right? I know that this is for me. I just have to be patient with God and what is to come. That being said, we don't want to base our faith off of our ego, right? We don't want to use our ego as like a way to measure if things are going in our favor or not. Because your intuition a lot of times is calm and your ego is loud. Your intuition says, keep going. But your ego says, see, it didn't work. And then your intuition feels steady, but your ego feels reactive. I would have just stayed consistent. If I would have ignored that mental noise back then, I wouldn't have had to now rebuild the momentum that I had, because I stopped doing all of those amazing things and I lost a lot of momentum in that field. So if you're in this place right now, don't stop. Whatever you do, do not stop. Don't let that ego get the best of you and talk you out of your dreams. Okay. For the rest of 2026, I'm doing my daily embodiment exercises, doing my affirmations, my scripting, my nervous system regulations, taking intentional action whenever I can, having gratitude for everything. Not obsessively, not in desperate need, right? Because we don't want to come off lack, because if we come off lack, God is going to give us more lack in that. So don't get stuck in that. Okay. Since we're not going to be desperate, we're not going to check every 5 minutes if something is happening, if something is growing or not. But we want to be steady, because God cannot ignore alignment forever. And I know, you may think like, wow, so many people may have presented them to receive things a lot faster than what they actually have. I don't believe that things are, especially if it's coming from God. Maybe if they're doing it in their own power, that is one thing, but I'm not doing this in my own power. I am co-creating with God. And so when we are co-creating with God, we are actually on God's timeline, and not our own human timeline here. It may take longer than what you want. Yes, it may. And don't be surprised if it does, okay? And because it definitely has for me, and that's what kind of got me into this feeling of ugh and frustration and losing my momentum and starting kind of not over, but kind of starting over, if you know what I mean. What I have learned, right, is things may be delayed, but delay does not mean denial, okay? So if you are manifesting your dream life, if you are becoming your dream woman, if you are building that business, calling in a relationship, healing through the trauma, do not use your current circumstances as proof that you are failing or you are making. You need to use your internal growth as proof that you are shifting. That was a huge lesson learned for me. I'm going to regain that momentum. I'm going to not listen to that ego next time it tries to talk to me and say, oh, it's not here yet, it's not coming, and all of that other stuff that it wants to say to me. And I'm going to really pay more attention to my intuition instead of my ego. Cheers to 2026. Cheers to persistence. Cheers to embodiment. Cheers to not quitting 5 minutes before the miracle actually arrives. And I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. And I hope that you manifest your dreams this year or maybe next, but don't give up no matter what.